Hello and welcome to the hard to believe sixth installation of the Givebutter monthly webinar series. We are streaming to you live from Texas and Michigan, as well as all over the world. We are your co-hosts, Max Friedman and Rachel Mills. In today's webinar, we have an amazing group of 11 insanely talented humans, better known as Givebutter Verified Partners, who will be sharing how to take your fundraising efforts on Givebutter to new heights.
Hey everybody, just a couple housekeeping things here as we get started. This webinar will end right at 3 o'clock Eastern. We are kicking things off with welcome and intros. Then we're going to introduce you all to our amazing panelists and partners who are going to share how they've taken campaigns to new heights. Then we're going to do a really fun lightning round of questions to help all of you finish the year end strong. And then we're going to wrap things up by answering all of your questions live. A few other housekeeping items. Please use the Q&A to ask questions that you have for panelists. We love talking to you in the chat, but if you have specific questions for our wonderful panelists, please leave them in the Q&A. We love feedback, and if you know Givebutter, you know we love emojis. So please use emojis and comment in the chat throughout. We will all be engaging with you throughout this webinar. Speaking of engaging with you, we have Tori and Kate here from Customer Success who are going to be answering all of your Givebutter related questions in the chat and Q&A. And last but not least, did you know that Givebutter has a private Facebook group for the Givebutter fam called the Givebutter Fam? So comment I'm in if you're already in this group, and if you're not, Tori or Kate is going to chat the link to this Facebook group so you can join and keep the conversation going after today's webinar. I would love now to introduce you to my friend and co-host, Max Friedman. So many of you already know and love him. He is the CEO and co-founder of Givebutter, an online fundraising platform that powers donations, campaigns, and events for thousands of nonprofit organizations. Max co-founded Givebutter in 2016 with the goal of combining industry best practices such as peer-to-peer with innovative technologies like Venmo and text to donate. Frequently praised for its design and user interface, Givebutter has become one of the fastest growing and best rated nonprofit technology platforms, according to Capterra, GetApp, G2, and Software Advice Frontrunners. If you want to connect with Max after this webinar, his handle for Twitter is below and his email. And as a friendly reminder, like we do with all of our webinars, we are going to email everyone who registered for this webinar the whole slide deck and recording. So don't worry, we've got your back. If you see things linked in the slides, you will have full and complete access once this webinar is over.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm excited to introduce you, my co-host and friend also, Rachel Mills. Rachel is a certified nonprofit professional, or CNP, whose aspiration since she was 16 years old is, which I love, help others help others. In the last decade of charitable work, Rachel has collaborated with highly successful U.S. nonprofits and international NGOs on annual fundraising and marketing strategies. With that, Rachel enjoys helping the Givebutter fam raise more, spend less, and give better on the marketing team. She's also a passionate mental health advocate and a limited license professional counselor. Her LinkedIn is below and her email is below. And if you haven't already checked out our vast library of success stories, Rachel has been doing an incredible job with that. And I'm especially excited to co-host with Rachel because she is usually behind the scenes of all of these webinars. So thanks for being here, Rachel. And with that, just a quick background. We have a lot of partners in the call. So maybe people who are not familiar with what Givebutter is, as Rachel said in my bio, we're a fundraising platform. Our whole mission is about helping you build and support a better way to give by raising more, paying less, and giving better. But that's enough about us. We want to turn the mic over to our partners, and I'll let Rachel give a quick intro for that. But before I do, one thing I want to mention, Givebutter's been around since 2016. I've dreamed about this ever since we founded the company. We work with such incredible people, and it's so special for us to be able to really just highlight and share their expertise with the Givebutter community and for them to learn from everyone here as well. So we have so many very experienced fundraising and nonprofit professionals on this call who are going to share a little bit about what they do. Consider it like a teaser. Please follow up with them to learn more if you're interested. But really, this whole partner program was launched as a way to share and collaborate and build community-wide expertise around best practices for nonprofits and nonprofit fundraising. So thanks everyone for being here. And Rachel, I'll let you start us off.
Thanks, Max. Without further ado, please meet and give a warm welcome in the chat to our amazing verified partners. Today, we are joined by 11 of them, and we are going to go one by one and have each partner introduce themselves with an example of one of their clients or potential clients' campaigns that were taken to new heights on Givebutter with their help. So let's kick things off with JD from ThankView.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Max. It has always been my dream to be a verified Givebutter partner, so I'm also living my dream today. This is fantastic. Thanks everyone on the call. I'm JD, I'm the CEO and co-founder here at ThankView. We're a personalized video platform. We make it easy to create 1 or 1,000 personalized messages in minutes. And obviously our name suggests a lot on the stewardship and kind of the gratitude side. That's kind of where we cut our teeth. But in getting to know Max and the Givebutter family, we really saw a huge potential to be able to marry what we do with the personal video outreach with the amazing platform that Givebutter has created. So we actually have a completely native integration that we dub Thanksgiving, which allows you not only to create personalized videos that you drop right into your Givebutter fundraising pages or giving forms, and then really add that extra layer of personalization to that experience, and then have all that when the donor data flows back into ThankView, be able to thank them within seconds. So on a Giving Tuesday or Giving Day, really make that seamless process of thanking those donors. And that's what we saw with St. James, one of our early partners using the integration, who was able to not only raise over $33,000 on the Givebutter platform on their Giving Tuesday, but we're able to thank people within seconds of a gift coming through, be able to personalize it not only to the name, but the donation amount, even what they gave to. And just, this was really powerful. We've seen partners that have done this before we saw the light and met Givebutter. We've seen our partners who have used personalized video appeals raise 74% more than their generic email A/B test. So being able to be partners with Givebutter just means that we can continually replicate that experience for more and more partners, and ideally more and more partners that we have here today. So thanks for having us, and really, really happy to be you guys' partner.
Thanks, JD. Next up, we have Steven from Bloomerang.
Cool, thanks. And by the way, ThankView is really awesome. So shout out to JD and that tool.
You too.
You
guys too.
Everybody is awesome, but
yeah.
I figure since JD went before me. But yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun. I'm over here at Bloomerang. We're donor management software. If you've never heard of us, check us out. You got a lot of options there. I mean, there's tons of really great providers. And we know we're not gonna sell Bloomerang to every single nonprofit, but we're a good fit for a lot of you folks. So check it out if you're interested. And we love Givebutter. We got an awesome integration. It's funny, I was doing some customer interviews this quarter, just something I do every once in a while. And I'd ask, what is it that drew you to Bloomerang? And they'd start talking about Givebutter before Bloomerang. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And it's a testament to the quality of the product over there. They talk to each other really good and really great, and they complement each other. I think the best way to get connected to Bloomerang, if you're not using our software, which is fine, we have a lot of really awesome educational content that we put out. That's actually my sort of primary responsibility with a webinar series every Thursday. We got a great one tomorrow. Totally free, totally educational. We got tons of free templates and ebooks and guides, a great blog. You can be part of our community even if you're not a customer, which is great. It would make me happy. So thanks for tuning in. I know it's a busy time of year. We're getting close to year end, which is why we're here to talk about, but it's cool to see such a full room and a great panel. So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Now let's welcome Karen from the ExV Agency.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I am Karen. I am the co-founder of the ExV Agency. I founded the company with my partner, Frank Carlisi. We are based in Brooklyn, New York. We are a content production and marketing agency, and we spent most of our careers supporting small businesses and Fortune 500 companies internationally. with everything that happened in 2020, we found ourselves pivoting in a way that was almost in our destiny, because whenever we were representing clients, we focused more on mission statements and core values than the product they were trying to sell. So when our business pivoted to focusing on clients in 2020, our clients became nonprofits, and that became how we transitioned this year. And we have now spent 100% of our time representing nonprofits, mostly because of what happened this year, where they were reliant on live annual fundraisers, and they had to find a new way to fundraise and raise visibility for their campaigns and their missions. So we took all of the experience that we learned over the years and leaned into supporting nonprofit clients to help them reach their fundraising goals and reach new audiences. Because of our background in the corporate space and the international space, we were able to rely on international networks that could really support these types of initiatives. So everything fell into place for us in a really beautiful way. And then what we were doing was trying to source the right partnerships to help us elevate the experience of our clients. And we got connected with Givebutter that really just helped us step up our game in such an incredible way. And we essentially never looked back, because now what we do is we can go into our nonprofit clients, create custom narratives for them for the digital fundraisers that we host on Givebutter, and it has been working incredibly well. We have been able to counsel them with that little hump of or fear that they faced about doing something digitally for the first time, and ensuring that they wouldn't get lost in a sea of digital content. And through our partnership with Givebutter, we've really been able to elevate what the client experiences have been, and really help them exceed far beyond what their fundraising goals were. So we're really proud of the year we've had, and really proud of the partnership with Givebutter.
Thank you, Karen. Everybody, welcome Ariel Glassman.
I'm Ariel Glassman. I'm an independent fundraising consultant based in Seattle, and I'm also the managing director and lead strategist of the Virtual Gala Collaborative. I work with nonprofits on their big picture fundraising strategy, building really intentional donor engagement programs and online campaigns and virtual events that really leverage new tech. I love grassroots fundraising that invites everyone to the table for a cause, even if that's $5 a month. That to me is part of the foundation of a more equitable sector that I want to see. The campaign that's highlighted here is really representative of how I lace the big picture together with the small details and the tech. It's actually a consortium campaign for 4 nonprofits in the gaming industry that came together to form a relief fund to help them weather the pandemic economy, which is a very bold move and not something that many nonprofits would ever consider, mostly because of a scarcity mindset or fear of competition. So I think that framework actually really allowed us to create a cause for people to rally around. And we made sure the campaign plan took advantage of what each organization uniquely brought to the table. It really allowed us to take a bigger collective swing than any one of those nonprofits could have taken on their own. And we really reaped the benefits of that strategy, in part because of Givebutter. You know, everybody raised more money than they otherwise would have. All the organizations walked away with new corporate relationships to gaming companies, and tons of new donors that they had permission to contact and cultivate. And I'd love to share why Givebutter was, in my mind, the perfect platform for this. Number one, it's the easiest platform I've ever used. And I don't say that lightly. I've used a lot of them, both the front and back end. And that's important when you have a lot of people involved who have different comfort levels with tech, and when you want to reduce barriers to donor conversion. Second, it unlocked some strategic potential for us, very specific to this community, the gaming community. The peer-to-peer pages were so easy to set up. We had popular Twitch streamers do charity streams, and we and they could track their impact through their own fundraising page. You know, and we were able to have gaming companies create their own pages so their employees could give through them and feel really proud about what the company had done. And the payment apps like Venmo and Apple Pay were super popular with this community, who was really engaging highly on mobile. And finally, I cannot help but mention the supporter wall, which I fell in love with immediately. The gaming community, they are masters of the meme, and they were super ready to make the most of this feature. We got some incredible comments and GIFs and drawings, and it just hugely added to the dynamism and the social proof of the campaign, and it really strengthened it.
Amazing. Thank you. Next up, we have Brandon from Parks Philanthropy.
Hey everyone, thanks Rachel. Really excited to be here with all of you amazing individuals in the Givebutter family. As Rachel mentioned, my name is Brandon Parks and I'm the founder of Parks Philanthropy. We're a social impact firm located in Manhattan, New York, just focused on equipping nonprofit organizations, corporations, and individuals with the support and resources they need to really deepen their impact. As it relates to nonprofit organizations, our consultants have over 70 years of experience, having fundraised over $100 million for a certain amount of organizations nationally. And with our consultancy, which is the backbone of Parks Philanthropy, we're all about an innovative and modern approach. Hence Givebutter coming into the picture. I can't even speak enough of just not only kind of the team behind Givebutter, Max, Rachel, Tori, the support that's provided when doing campaigns with Givebutter, but also just the suite of products. Kind of as Ariel mentioned, can't speak enough of honestly just the ease and the functionality of not only the platform, but really specifically for me and for my previous clients, just the peer-to-peer fundraising page capacity. Just really the ease and ability to use Givebutter to empower any type of individual or volunteer to really support the cause that they want to support. Really just for me has really transformed the ability for some of our smaller organizations to really empower their larger community. So yeah, really looking forward to not only kind of advocating for Givebutter for future clients and partners, but really just here to promote the use of Givebutter for any of you all.
Thank you, Brandon. Next up, we have Catherine from Growth for Good.
Hello, I'm Catherine DeFoyd with Growth for Good, and Growth for Good is based in Brooklyn, New York, and in Maplewood, New Jersey, and we provide very high-level strategic planning, fundraising planning, board development for nonprofits, and we also roll up our sleeves and run events. Last March, as you might imagine, we pivoted, like everyone else in the whole wide world, to live virtual events, and we were really excited to learn about the Givebutter platform. There are a couple things that we really admire about this platform and we think are powerful, and technology is a really big part of our practice. We always believe that the nonprofit sector needs to do a better job of integrating technology into all they do, not just events, but throughout the operations. Givebutter's platform in particular is really strong in the peer-to-peer, propelling that sort of fundraising, which is at the end of the day what really great events are. They're all about getting people to ask their friends to come to the event and donate money. Number two, we really love Givebutter's use of social media. And the reason we think this is important is it makes, we believe all fundraising should be donor-centric. It's a really big value at Growth for Good. And it's really woven throughout all we do, but especially with events. The campaign that's highlighted is a virtual event. In our we're like a little salmon swimming upstream because we don't believe virtual events should be pre-recorded. We believe they should mix elements of pre-recorded and live. And that's because live is very special. And there are really three reasons. Number one, just like Givebutter, we believe live events actually honor the donors. They give donors a chance to interact with each other, see and be seen. I mean, people want to come to an event to just, a virtual event, the same reason they want to come to a live in-person event. So we find that, by integrating real live aspects to an event, it makes it much more dynamic. Number two, it's just more fun. There's the kind of the tension and the drama that's created with wondering what's going to happen in the live event. And if there's a little, hiccup or a goo-goo, that actually makes it more exciting for your guests at the event. And just like this event, today is more fun. Who knows what somebody's going to do something funny here. And number three, we think that live virtual events, real in person with interaction, really raise a lot more money. Just last week in the chat, in a Zoom, we raised $91,000 with a paddle raise. 25,000 was pre-pledged, but I think because we said to our bigger donors, look, we're going to try this paddle raise in a Zoom, and we're terrified, will you, make your traditional year gift in the chat? And they said yes. But actually it worked really well because in the end we raised 66K in that chat room. I mean, in the chat right there at the Zoom. So that's super, exciting. And we love Givebutter because we feel like it really embraces what we care about in fundraising, which is, how to keep the donor the center of all you do.
Thanks, Catherine. Next up, we have Dana from Positive Equation.
Hi, everybody. Catherine, I could not agree with you more, 100% on live events. And I would love for everybody who is watching right now in the chat, drop a Y if you have done a live virtual event, some sort of live stream or an N if you haven't. I think it's really interesting for all of us to see. Yes, Lorraine, Donna, Ariel, Amy, Carrot, all the names flying in. I love it. Amazing. So my name is Dana. I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I started Positive Equation about 4 years ago. I used to live in New York City. I worked for a nonprofit straight out of college. And then I did the whole for-profit agency life. And I realized that a lot of nonprofits couldn't afford large agency retainers and still wanted to work with senior level experts to be able to create a really impactful digital and social media strategy. So I do just that. I work with nonprofit marketers like yourselves and really cultivating an online passionate audience of donors, supporters, and advocates through social media. So something that was amazing that we saw through this year is the unprecedented amount of giving is incredible. And the highest generation that gave was millennials and then Gen Z. So if you have not, yes, Rachel, if you have not expanded your donor base to include those generations or think about how to work with them, you need to do that. And Givebutter is a beautiful platform for that, because if you just look at it, it's so easy to use, it's fun and engaging. And the example on the right-hand side that's still in action right now is a client of mine, Ping Pong for Good. Super fun. Ping Pong, the game, they partner with Ping Pongly. So have a brand partner, and essentially it's a kit that you can purchase and you can play on any surface table. So my kind of ideas with them was, and for anybody who's listening, is make sure for your ask amounts that you correlate them to an impact goal. So $25 allows us to do this. $30 allows us to do this. And you can customize that through Givebutter's backend. The second thing is, before you do your event, ask people how they prefer to give, right? Should you have a text to donate? Should you include Venmo? Should you have a credit card? Like, what's the best payment? And then really the other thing that we're doing with Ping Pong for Good to keep the page fresh, because it's longer than a one-time event, is to do multiple live streams. So there's going to be 4 live streams planned to get people coming back to the page and getting fresh people. She's going to have a doctor on talking about ping pong benefits of playing. She's going to have Aline, who's like, she got featured on like the Today Show. She's like an 85-year-old woman that does ping pong, and they're going to do like a little tournament. So essentially there's a bunch of live streams. She's going to have Dr. Oz on there talking about it. So he's going to bring his audience. So throughout the next couple months, she's going to continue to bring on fresh guests so that this page doesn't feel stagnant. So if you're doing a long-term campaign like that, that's a way to do it. You just replace your video link on the back end, and super easy. And I will share my links in the chat as well, so you can check out Positive Equation. And then, yeah, I look forward to answering questions at the end.
Awesome. Very cool. Thanks, Dana. Now let's welcome Jonathan from Lipton Strategies.
Hi, and thanks everyone. Dana, I really love that that tidbit you gave about donations this year. I think that's one of the key things we've seen during the pandemic is the rise in millennials and younger individuals who have not typically made up the backbone of the philanthropy sector. It's something that's now critical for organizations to sustain, to grow their donor pools, and to kind of tap into that found expertise of long-term sustained annual giving through social media. And Givebutter obviously is a great platform for that. Lipton Strategies, I'm the founder and principal of our company. We work as a boutique agency to really engage nonprofits in innovative philanthropy. And a lot of what we do right now is in the campaign world, both comprehensive campaigns, capital campaigns, really focused on those 7- and 8-figure transformative opportunities to bring an organization to a new height or really begin a next chapter. What we're most excited about Givebutter is actually in 2021, bringing it online for some of our organizations that we work with now. Some of those are listed here, Native Son, the Tree of Life Congregation in Pittsburgh, to support them as they move from a silent phase of fundraising into a public phase. This is something that for those of you who have gone through a capital campaign, you know how challenging this is to make that pivot from the quiet major gift phase, raising those $1 million gifts that really are pinnacle, to then moving to the next half of your campaign and engaging donors where they're at and trying to get the 100% participation. And we see Givebutter as a great platform to really create an equitable field to bring everyone into the fold, to make sure that organizations can tap their entire base. And what really resonated with us when we joined with Givebutter earlier this year as a verified partner was being able to engage in many different aspects in a very user simple platform. So we're able to create virtual events, we're able to create peer-to-peer giving, we're able to facilitate text to give, Venmo donations, and all the different things that organizations want are really integrated into this one simple platform. And we found that to be critical, especially for organizations that are already focused on huge campaigns, to be able to, in one simple click, use one platform and leverage all of that innovation and technology. So for us, we see that as kind of a winning solution behind Givebutter and are really looking forward to bringing that to our clients in 2021 and beyond.
Amazing. Thank you, Jonathan. Next up, we have Jeff from Ignite Action.
Thank you, Rachel. Jonathan, that was awesome. Very excited to hear more about what you're doing. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Rum. I'm a big fan of Givebutter. And Max and Rachel know I love all the butter puns. So you might hear me make them from time to time. But I'm the founder and CEO of Ignite Action. We are a brand and marketing agency. I'm based in the Washington, D.C. area. You can see the snow behind me. We are strategists and storytellers at heart. We partner with nonprofits who are looking to raise dollars and engage donors. And we do this by creating brand strategies, online fundraising campaigns, and digital marketing for nonprofits. So I'm talking about today is an event we produced for an organization called Impact Israel. It's a nonprofit. They do their fundraising based in the US, but the work they do is in Israel. And they support 55 educational communities around the country. They impact 22,000 at-risk youth and 2,500 educators. And I thought what was really cool about this particular virtual fundraising event that they did, first of all, they had no idea what to expect because they had never done it before. Their galas are typically in New York City. They're kind of fancy, fundraising event every year. And they didn't know what to expect with a virtual event. What I loved about it is that aside from the fact that they doubled the goal that they had, Givebutter made it so easy for donors that they would say tend to be older donors, many of them. And we were able to use this platform to really share the positive stories of the organization. And oftentimes it's interesting that COVID forced them to do this, but it's hard for them because all the recipients are not here on this side of the ocean. So it's sometimes hard to share the work they do with donors, but this really made it possible for them to, show the impact and show the positive impact that it has on the students that they support. So, and the Givebutter platform really not only allowed them to raise the dollars, but it allowed them to tell the powerful stories through this medium. So we're excited. We have several clients that use the Givebutter platform now, and we will continue to spread the love.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. And thank you for being here for the butter puns. Next up, we have Brian from BW Missions.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Wish. Great to be here. If you guys don't know Max, Ari, and Laurent, I knew them 3 or 4 years ago when there was just a small team of scrappy kids really trying to bring a beautiful vision to life, and to get their emails on how they're growing and building such a incredible company is so inspiring. So great to have everyone here. I run a company called BW Missions. We work with a lot of experts in given industries, really help to drive their thought leadership, everything from their brand platform to their content and communities to really driving product development now. So it's been a fun journey for us. A few of our clients have used Givebutter, and just friends of mine. One story is a friend of mine named Matt Thomas. He was doing an event called Brawl for a Cause. And it was, I think, the first virtual fundraising ticketing service, and Givebutter came in and helped raise over, I think, $500,000 in total at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And it's just been a really powerful, I think, partnership, in the platform, how it's evolved and been so easy and friendly to use. We sent a client who was an education-based thought leader, and he was running for office, and raised a lot of money on the platform and was able to drive a lot of his community to it. And Givebutter was really just a very easy and convenient hub for people to raise money around things they cared about. And I think Max and team has stayed extremely true to their mission. And for us, just to watch from the outside looking in, it's been special. So glad to be here. And Rachel, thanks for letting our team share on your blog. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Brian. And this is an awesome blog if you're wanting to learn more about PR in the nonprofit sector over on the Butter blog from BW Missions. Last but definitely not least, we have Erin from 4 North Consulting.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be on this panel and talk a little bit more about sort of my practice, but also how that integrates with Givebutter. So a little bit about myself. I am a development strategist. I'm based out of Brooklyn, New York. And I've worked in frontline fundraising for about 15 years, mostly at the early part of my career in-house. Large organizations, small organizations, director of development roles. And I would get calls all the time. Calls, once people find out you do development work, phone heats up a little bit. And so, a lot of the questions that organizations were asking me, I really drilled down to be about basic development strategy. And so I found a nice little pocket for myself and started my own business about 5 years ago. I'm relatively mission agnostic. What's important to me when I think about working with a prospective client is, what is your leadership structure? Are we going to be successful? Is the strategy that we create in partnership going to be something that you can carry through when I am no longer there? That's my job, is to be obsolete. Like, I don't want to be required. I want to teach and train and partner with organizations so that they can run their own development shops. And so my work predominantly focuses on developing and creating and sustaining major gifts programs, sort of that like mid to top tier donor. As Jeff, people were saying earlier, those really transformational gifts are incredibly important to organizations, and a lot of places need some support in building that sort of pipeline. So I've never seen a well-oiled development machine without a great board. So a lot of the work that I do starts at the board level, auditing board practices, understanding governance. How do you get the right people on your board? How do you communicate with the right people? What is your CEO or executive director or director of development? How do they liaise appropriately with that board? So it's really fun work. And, again, I'm also a consumer. And so I receive just as many emails about giving as anybody else does. And so it was really fun. Actually, a community that I'm a part of sent me a fundraising plea, and it happened to be on Givebutter, and it was great. They raised more money using that tool than they've ever raised prior. And again, I think that we talked about, one of the reasons is because it was very authentic to who they were. It's one of the things I tell my clients all the time. If you are not an educator, or you're not feeding people, or you're not providing an essential service, don't pretend that you are. Be exactly who you are, and that will come through in your messaging. And so anyway, so it was just really nice for me to see Givebutter in my inbox, and it had nothing to do with me professionally. It was just really nice that I was part of a community that's also hearing about the great work that's being done there. So that's me. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Erin, and thank you to all of our amazing 11 partners on this call today. With that, I'm going to pass things off to you, Max.
Well, the Zoom snafu, I was on mute. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your incredible expertise. I learned a lot just from that intro. But this, I'm really excited to ask all of you in the lightning round. Try to keep it under a minute, 30 seconds. What is your single best pro tip for all the Givebutter fundraisers and attendees out there to finish the year end strong? And before I pass it to JD, I want to just encourage everyone, if you have questions, please leave them in the Q&A. We have a panel of experts. Use the Q&A to leave those questions, and we'll either answer them through the question box, or we'll get to them live at the very end. So yeah, JD, what's your pro tip, your secret sauce, your number one suggestion for anyone who's thinking about finishing the year end strong when it comes to fundraising?
Yeah, I loved the last comment there of just being authentic to your mission. And I'd say, perhaps this is a self-important answer, but our platform is all about that authentic human connection through video. So taking the time, you're not going to be able to say thank you to every donor, or maybe you are, in which case kudos to you, tip of the hat there. But really kind of focusing on trying to spend some serious time putting some sincere messages, whether it be to your top donors or more importantly, probably your volunteers, to your board for everything they've done for you. Spending the time to really just thank people, give that personal touch. Again, we're just trying to create the efficiency and sincerity with ThankView to marry that. This can be done with thank you cards or a phone call too. Just that real connection to show you care. And then for those, that might be for a special subset. And then for more broadly, just again, making sure that people understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you're going, and how they can stick with you in the new year. I know from our business, that's something I'm even constantly trying to encourage and solidify with my team. And that's something I think is very necessary with your donors too. Just let them know exactly how important they are to you, and that you're going to continue the mission into the new year.
Stephen?
Yeah, that was awesome. I've been thinking about this question, and we were over the weekend, my wife and I reviewing our own sort of holiday year-end giving, and we were looking at all the monthly commitments we have. We have 10 monthly gifts, not very big, $5-10 to mostly orgs here in Indy. And it occurred to me that we had been giving the same amount since we started, and some of these have been going for years. Actually, one of them is going over 10 years. And I know that we should probably increase those ourselves, but we've never been asked. So what I've been telling people is, if you have any monthly donors, if they have been a monthly donor for all of 2020 and a little bit of 2019, ask them, send them an email to only those people and say, hey, thanks so much for being a monthly donor. Would you be willing to upgrade your gift for 2021? And you could calculate, I don't know, 5 or 10% increase, or give them a dollar amount. Make it easy for them. They can make it, let them say, yeah, go ahead and do it, and you can do it for them, or give them a link to do it. But those people, they're some of your best donors, and they probably haven't upgraded themselves because they just haven't thought of it. But they like you, and that should be an easy win. And if you get $5 or $10 more a month, that's huge lifetime value increases over the whole length of their giving. So give a little love to your monthly donors, and don't be afraid to ask them to pitch in a little bit more if they've been kind of at the same gift amount for a while.
Awesome. That's a great tip. One quick follow-up to that, Stephen. Someone in the chat said, that's a great idea, but I'm a bit nervous to ask. How do you any suggestions on overcoming that? It's a new thing. Maybe someone's never done that before.
Don't be nervous, because those people are your best people. They love you the most out of any of your donors, even if they don't give as much as maybe somebody who swooped in and gave you a lot of money once and you never heard from again. In fact, they trust you to charge them every month. Don't be afraid. They may even think it's a little weird you haven't asked them, and that's kind of how I feel. And I'm just one person, but don't be afraid. The worst they can say is no, or not answer. So I think fortune favors the bold here, but try it. If you're afraid, maybe do it for half your monthly donors and see what happens. And then if it goes well, ask the other half.
That's great advice. Thank you. All right, let's go Ariel, and then Brandon and Catherine.
For the lightning round, yeah? Okay. Yeah. So my pro tip is that it's really easy to get tunnel vision and focus on pure dollars at the end of the year. But remember that your year-end campaigns are a huge opportunity to advance other objectives for your fundraising program. Are you segmenting new donors from last year and focusing on them specifically, as their own segment to ensure you retain them? Like, we all know the first gift is the hardest to get, but the second is the most important. That's going to put them on their path to sticking with you. So are you looking at that, right? That's about the long-term health. Are you cultivating major donors for matching gifts for this campaign in a way that makes them feel special and actually creates leverage for you? That's major gift cultivation right there. And I really encourage people to think about the long-term big picture journey that donors are on with you. You're about to get a ton, hopefully, of new or repeat one-time donors in a year-end campaign. And they are great prospects for a monthly recurring ask 60 to 90 days later, which, again, puts them on a path to a way higher lifetime value. So if you have the capacity, I know it's a tough environment. We all really have to deliver on fundraising results right now. But if you can wrap your mind around how your campaign could elevate a couple other objectives, I think you'll be cooking with gas.
Brendan?
Yeah, thanks for that, Ariel. Greatly appreciated. And you definitely touched on a few points that I also wanted to mention. When you mentioned tunnel vision, I feel like that's kind of an issue that all of us almost kind of get into, specifically as it relates to Giving Tuesday and year end. And for myself, I always
Hey, Brandon, I think we're losing you there. Come on. You got this. Sorry, Brandon, you're going in and out a lot. So I think we're gonna, yeah, let's head over to Catherine and just keep things moving.
All right, it's all about the follow-up. And I really believe the follow-up should be 101. Shouts out to Brandon and to Ariel, because I completely agree that these events should, I think.
And really kind of apply human-centric design.
Talking over each other.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have Rachel, or do you mind hitting the mute? Awesome.
So it's all about the hand-to-hand combat, follow-up, one-on-one. And I couldn't agree more that the year-end appeal is a chance to acquire new donors, move them from year one to year two, and year two to
role of kind of strategic language as it relates to our campaigns. Can you hear me?
Sorry,
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I see that Brandon's muted, but it's just going. It's still going. I think we can keep going, Catherine. Sorry to have that go. Brandon, we're gonna keep going just because your audio is very in and out. Sorry about that. Thanks.
Sorry about that. All right. Rewind. Technology, live events, that's what makes them charming.
Exactly.
So, we really feel that follow-up and one-on-one follow-up, we hate CRM. We think people are getting really lazy, and depending on that, as a 23% open rate. As much as you can get your team reaching out to people in a real, authentic way, one-on-one is super important. And couldn't agree more with Brandon and Ariel. Think about how you're acquiring new donors. Are you moving them from year one to year two? And the only place I'm going to disagree with Ariel, I think getting them from year two to year three is the most important, because once they've given 3 years in a row, they are yours for keeps. And frankly, building that donor file, growing your donor base with annual appeals should be as big of a goal as raising money. But it's all in the follow-up and the authentic one-on-one follow-up.
All right, and then thanks so much, Catherine. Dana, Jonathan, and Jeff, and let's just go straight through. So Dana, Jonathan, and then Jeff.
Awesome. I have 2 quick pointers, because hopefully Brandon can come back on with the time allowed. So one pointer is, and I kind of mentioned this, but impact goals. So in Cindy, to your question, make your asks specific to something you need, something that donors can visualize. Then that way they are way more likely to give, and way more likely to give you a recurring donation if you give them that visual. So that's number one. Number 2 is, do you have someone social or digital on your staff? If you do not, I'm going to put this in the chat. I wrote a blog post. A lot of people don't know how to hire somebody digital, especially in a more senior role. If you're an ED and you're like, I'm not even sure if I know what questions to ask to see if they're doing a good job or not. You need to make sure your business goals align with your digital strategy. So there's 5 questions that I have that you can run through during an interview process, but invest in digital, invest in someone on your team, and make sure that your asks are associated with impact goals.
I'll just jump right off of that, Max. Ariel, I think that you really touched on this in terms of thinking about broader than just the quick gift. And I think the one thing that we always get stuck in as frontline fundraisers, many of us have been or work with them on a regular basis, is people are just trying to get the quick buck at the end of the year. And I think it is a kiss of death for a fundraiser to just go for the quick transactional gift. So think long-term about your giving. Don't think just about recapping the year behind. Think about the year ahead and projecting December as your option to create a bridge between the successes of 2020 and what's coming in 2021. Because if you just pivot and talk about what happened and why they needed to support your past work, you fail to think about the long-term gift implication, and instead use this time and space to set people up for what worked and where you're going. Because if you can create that arc and that trajectory, you're going to set them up to see long-term success and hopefully even inspire monthly sustaining donors to join you in December. So I think that's a key goal, is to get out of that transactional gift mentality and think about the long-term relationship that you can build and what that means for your organization's past, present, and future, not just recapping past success.
Great. Jonathan, I couldn't agree more. I think that a lot of the work we do with creating digital campaigns for nonprofits, we look at the entire year and we think about the relationship that we want to build with the donor throughout the year. So it doesn't come to December and everyone's trying to scramble and get their last minute gifts. I think if you build content around the year, so there are peaks and valleys, and there are some peaks when you are going to ask for a gift, but other times you're going to share helpful resources, or just say thank you, or give them something that they can do, or ways for them to volunteer or get involved. Then when you do get to the end of the year, and we know that about 12% of donors wait until December to make their gifts, they feel like they've already been in a relationship with you all year. And when you ask them for the gift, it's not going to feel transactional, as Jonathan said. It'll feel like they've been with you all year. They've hung with you. They understand the work you're doing and the power that it has and the impact it has. So I think it really starts in January, and to think about what that year-round email and social and digital relationship looked like, so that you're not getting to December and trying to think about the transaction.
Love it. Thank you, everyone. We have two more, Brian and then Erin. So let's go from Brian to Erin, and then we're going to jump right into the Q&A. We've got some great questions there.
Great. I think what Jeff said is pretty spot on, just from a content perspective. I'd build on that and just say, thinking about some of the most impactful stories from the year that came out of the donations, or the most impactful members that have donated, how to highlight them in a really meaningful way and kind of capture the human essence and human narrative. Those are the things that people remember, and that sticks. So finding ways to do that, and also giving voice to your fundraisers where they can share meaningful stories on the behalf of your brand or what you're trying to achieve. So I think it's come back to the human side of and let the money follow from there.
Yes, agreed. And I'm glad that I get to sort of close this out. I feel like everything that everyone was just mentioning is about strategy, like deep strategy work that starts at the beginning of the year. And so if you're an organization right now listening to this, webinar, and you don't have that strategy in place, don't panic, I wrote a blog for Givebutter over the summer about COVID fundraising. Don't panic. But my number one piece of advice is also, if it feels weird, don't do it. That's just like a general rule in my life, but specifically with fundraising, do not truncate the development process and try and go for cash at the end of the year. That's not fundraising. That's just plea mails. Find a strategy, figure out what works for your organization, taking into account your resources, your goals. Again, this impact goal is like such a great concept. It allows donors to come with you on your journey, and it's not transactional. I think everyone has probably said the word transactional more than one time on this, which is super, super important for our nonprofit universe to understand. That is not fundraising, that is sales. And so we want donors to come with us on a journey, and then after they understand who we are and what we're trying to do, it's just a better universe for everyone. So don't panic, don't send plea mails. And if you didn't get your strategy right this year, January is right around the corner. So best of luck.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to roll into the Q&A here. Have a lot of awesome questions. With the time, we're just going to have 3 or 4 of panelists answer each question. So if you want to tackle this one, panelists, please just raise your hand and I'll make note of that and get to you. This question is from Nancy, which is, my goal is unrestricted dollars for a university. How do I show impact when I can't identify specifically where the gift will be used? Which I think is a great question. So Jonathan, let's start with you.
Yeah, Nancy, I'll address that really quickly because we work with a lot of large capital campaigns and hence institutions that work in that challenging space of restricted or unrestricted philanthropy. I think finding ways that you can create mission affinity, whether that's alumni, whether that's parental giving, whether that's community members, finding a way that you can create that affinity back to the university as an organization and profiling students and faculty and the impact that it has. A lot of people don't necessarily care when you're not dealing with 5-6-figure gifts about where that direct dollar goes. As long as they can see the faces, that they can see that it is creating joy in a university setting, I think that is key. So don't necessarily worry, restricted, unrestricted, just make sure you're profiling the impact at a general broad level and that you're bringing that affinity to the organization, people to people, relationships. And that's what fundraising is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Erin?
One other quick dovetailing on that. You know, again, not restricted versus unrestricted. I think in general, what we're talking about is unrestricted giving. But from a marketing perspective, you can separate the work that you do into portfolio, right? So what aspects of your portfolio are fundable? And again, this isn't a finance question. It's not talking about, is that $5,000 actually going to specifically underwrite that line item? It's more of a marketing presentation, and the way that you break out your work by portfolio tends to be quite helpful for people.
Ariel?
I would also recommend that, you know, if the, as you said, is sort of unclear or hard to sort of show and delineate the impact at that level, tell the story of one person, right? Because if you tell the journey of one student, right, and you pick things along the way that really show the impact of the places where donor dollars go to help, I think you can manage to show impact in a way where people are actually going to connect with it. You know, we don't connect with scale. We don't connect with mass. We connect with one person at a time. Our brains are wired that way. So bring someone on that personal journey and you can show, not tell, show along the way everything that their dollars are accomplishing, even though it seems like it's small.
Awesome. Anyone else want to add to that? I think those were great answers. Another question is from Michelle, who said, I'm curious to learn more about live fundraising events, especially working with teens. So I think this is a great question for Givebutter users because the platform is so modern. Lots of younger donors are using Givebutter and utilizing digital wallets and supporter feed and all of that fun stuff that's available through Givebutter. So anybody want to tackle this question? Live events working with younger donors. What are your tips and tricks? Dana?
So when I responded via text to this one, but I would say go live where they are is number one. So if that's Instagram Live, go live where they are. Secondly, and then you can have them go to another destination like a Givebutter homepage, if that makes sense. Secondly, live events are really important, as we've been doing them now for months, to make sure they stay really engaging and interactive and provide value. So you make sure it's something that they want to show up for. Is it something they can do with their friends because they're not able to see their friends as much? Like, can they invite someone and do an active event together instead of just so many fundraising events I've seen are you're just being talked to. And that's not what that's not what I want. And I'm 31. So I know that's definitely not what a teenager wants. So just make sure when you're thinking about how do we provide value and make this engaging and exciting. This is also something that's happened with like galas. Parents are home with kids, right? They don't have babysitters. So like a formal type of event structure doesn't work anymore. So how can you include the whole family? So more than just teens, it's thinking about what's the situation of where this person will be watching this from. So just that's my key advice for that.
Yeah, that's great. Catherine, I saw your hand was raised. Looks like you're still muted.
Fabulous answer, Dana. You took the words right out of my mouth. Engagement, engagement, engagement. You got to plan for it. You got to think about it. You want people's hands off the keyboard and in the air and doing stuff. And whether they're teens or whether they're 80 somethings, by the way, we find in figuring out engagement, which takes real strategic thinking, and it needs to be authentic. I don't want to repeat what Dana said because I think she's brilliant.
Agreed. Anybody else want to tackle that? Younger donors or teenage giving? Jonathan?
Just do it as a community. I think finding ways that you can bring them together. I was in a youth group as a kid. That was the most transformative years of my life. Find a way to have youth do it together, creating giving circles, getting philanthropy become part of the culture, and getting them to kind of do it in a pod. Because as we know, kids do it because their friends are doing it. So make it cool, make it popular, and find ways to engage people together. I think that will be critical.
One more note. So DoSomethingStrategic.org works specifically with Gen Z. They're an amazing agency and they have really good emails and blogs just about what's trending within that generation. I'll put it in the chat. Great. I get their emails all the time and they do really powerful. They just launched a huge campaign with Victoria's Secret Pink, specifically trying to reach Gen Z. So I'll put this in the chat just for some thought starters.
Yes.
She's so smart. She's so smart.
Any other Q&A for everybody who is still with us? Do you guys have any other questions in general for panelists? Do you have specific questions for a panelist? We have a question from Lynn. Let me know if I said that right, Lynn. Fundraising in a job seeker support group seems to be challenging when your donor base is unemployed. Thoughts?
I think it feels good to give, and you need to honor the fact that people want to show up and continue to participate, even if they're unemployed. What I think you're going to expect is that their giving will be lower, but you never want to patronize someone. Just because they're unemployed doesn't mean they don't want to give a little bit of money. It feels good to give. People give because they want to be part of something, and sort of honor that and think about that. And then also try to find people who are employed to give. That's another side.
One other thing just to add on to that, Catherine, I agree. People want to be asked. They want to feel empowered. They want to feel that you're not patronizing them. I think the one other thing to include there is, especially this year with COVID and the amount of people who are unemployed, perhaps say in your appeal, if you're doing a mass appeal, if you're not segmenting your list, which you always should do, always segment your list out. Perhaps provide an option. We know that many people are challenged this year and may not be able to give. If you cannot give of your financial support, can you give of your time? Provide them an option to become engaged further, because while they might not be able to give this year, the more that you engage them, the more they can potentially give you next year and continue building that relationship.
Yes, so good. I'm wondering, just as a last question for panelists, do any of you have a question for one another or for all the panelists to close out here?
I just want to answer this question that's in the text right now, the Q&A. I mean, when do sister nonprofits give? They used to buy a table, but now there's no dinner. Guess what we've found at Growth for Good? We've now run, more than a dozen very profitable fundraising live virtual events. It proves what I already knew before coming into COVID, that it's not as transactional as you think. People are usually giving the money because they really believe in what you're doing. It's been really gratifying for Growth for Good, for our team, just hit the goal every single time, the financial goal, because it really proves what we already kind of knew. But now we have proof that it's not about the dinner. It's about being part of a community, giving, because it feels good to give.
Absolutely. Jeff?
Yeah, I was thinking, some of our clients now are telling me that, their fundraisers have to fundraise. They used to use the clutch of like, oh, we have to plan this event, or we have to get our, do all these programs and happy hours. And now, like, because of COVID, like, they just have to fundraise. So I think that part of this is reteaching fundraising professionals how to fundraise, which sounds kind of silly, but it's connecting one-to-one with people and then following up with the Givebutter link and saying, okay, now we had this conversation, we would appreciate your gift. And I think it's COVID had some very strange things that came out of it, and I think one of them is that fundraisers are now focused more on fundraising than they were before.
Yes, so good. I wish we had more time to answer more questions, but it's 3 o'clock now and we want to be respectful of everybody's time. Panelists, partners, we love you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of your wisdom and pro tips. Here's a slide with contact info if you are looking to get in touch with one of these specific partners. And like I said, don't worry, we're going to email these to you after if you want to get in touch. We're also going to add them to the private Facebook group afterward if you're looking to get in touch right away after this event. We are going to send a survey at the end of this webinar. If you could take 1 minute, we would love your feedback. Thank you everybody again for attending, and we hope you finish the year end strong. We will see you in January for the next Givebutter webinar. Bye everybody. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.